2024 is upon us. The old calendar's been ripped off the wall and a new, far more exciting one has been put up in its place. And we've got so much to talk about in this video. Nicole and I currently found ourselves at a place called Richtersveld out here in the Kgalagadi Mountains. It's one of those lovely remote places that you'd only find if you pick a random spot on Google Earth and zoom in. That's actually how we found the spot, believe it or not. But yeah, we've got camping area under the shade, mountains all around us, basic ablutions, little kitchen area, campfire, riverbed view, and a wood-fired jacuzzi, which takes like the whole day to heat up, but is 100% worth the wait. This isn't going to be one of those full-length camping episodes. We want to relax while we're here, but the point is that this is the exact kind of place that we want to showcase more of this year. It's not all about those long 1 to 3 week epic trips across the country. It's also about the short weekend getaways, the hidden gems within a couple hours drive of wherever you live that can bring you back to sanity after a long week of hard work. We want to showcase more of these places this year. And that doesn't mean we're not going to have some of those long epic trips. We do have a few of those planned for this year, and we'll get to that a bit later in this video, along with a discussion about some vehicle modifications I want to do. But first, the elephant in the room, what happened in 2023? The sad reality is that we filmed a grand total of 0 new episodes in 2023. You may not have noticed this too much because we were uploading episodes from our Grand Tour series that we filmed the previous year, but the fact remains it was a write-off as far as new content goes. And here's why. Firstly, I had an incredibly busy year with work last year. For those of you who don't know, this is not my job. This channel's just a hobby. My main work comes in the form of a much bigger YouTube channel called Air Arms Hunting South Africa, in which I really do have to keep regular upload schedules, and that takes a lot of hard work. I also work for a company called Element Optics, and I've got to put a lot of time into product development and traveling the world, visiting factories and trade shows and all of that. To give you an idea of how much I was buzzing around the world last year, in January, I had to go to Las Vegas for a trade show. March was Germany for a trade show. April, shooting competition in America. June, another shooting competition in America. July, another shooting competition in America. September, Nicole and I went to New Zealand. That was pretty cool, but again, just took time away from South Africa. October, China and Japan. And then December, back in Sweden. So that didn't leave a ton of time for local travel. But that's not an excuse. There's actually a much bigger factor that was at play last year, and that is that Nicole and I were this close to immigrating to the US, and for much of last year we were kind of sitting on the fence. We had sold half of our furniture, we'd put our house on the market, we were very reluctantly about to sell the Hilux, but all along we just had a niggle telling us that we were making a mistake, and eventually we decided to stay put right where we are. Now, this isn't going to be a discussion about what's the best place to live, and I think we probably could have been happy in the States if we had decided to go and kind of push through the homesickness phase. America's an amazing country. There's a lot of stuff there that would suit our lifestyle very well. We were planning to buy a Tacoma and kit it out with a canopy camper with like a heater unit that would allow us to go out in the winter and camp. There's a lot of incredible public land there with amazing wild trails. But when I consider the life that I have here, the people around me, the amazing area that I live in, the cost of living, and the fact that I earn in euros, which, let's be honest, gets me way further in South Africa than it would in the US, I realize that sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. South Africa still has great schools, great healthcare, beautiful scenery, amazing people, and above all, a good lifestyle. So at the end of the day, I'm very happy to be settled here. So you get the idea. Planning an adventure when you don't even know where you're going to be living in the next few months is kind of difficult. But I can tell you that's not going to be an issue this year. We've got stuff down in the calendar, and no matter how much work I've got to get through, we're going to get out and we're going to go on adventures. Starting in March and April, we'll be heading out on another West Coast adventure, a place that I've been longing to go back to ever since our last trip. And this time we have a new family member with us, which will be interesting. This is Huxley, our golden retriever puppy. He won't be a puppy for long, and he's quickly getting used to the traveling life. We got him a little dog backseat compartment on Take-A-Lot that he can relax in while we drive, and we're currently trying to figure out the sleeping situation, but it's likely that we'll get a small pop-out tent that we can pitch next to the bakkie. Closer to winter, we want to do more in the Richtersveld World Heritage Site and Richtersveld National Park. This mountain desert is my personal favorite part of the country. Nicole and I agree that the Namakwa Eco Trail that we did through here a few years ago was still the best trip that we've ever done, and we want more. And then in July, we'll be heading all the way up to the Kgalagadi. Never been there before, but very excited, and we'll be spending 2 weeks there, both in the South African side and the Botswana side, hopefully not getting munched by lions. So what about the Hilux? Well, I've got quite an extensive list of things that I want to do. My budget definitely won't allow me to do everything, but my plan is to prioritize and try to get through as many of them as possible, which should be fun. Because we're going to be doing a lot of driving in soft sand this year, I really would like to bring my rim size down to 17 inches so that I can let my tires down a bit more on the sand, and also try out some tires that have a better reputation in the sand. The BFs are good for a lot of things, but soft sand is not one of them. Continental, who makes the General Grabbers, have already shown interest in sponsoring a set of tires, which I'm very grateful for, but I just need to try and budget for rims, which unfortunately are not that cheap. Huxley's decided he likes to play rough while I'm filming. Do you know what else is rough? Some of the roads at some of the places we need to go later this year. And to combat those corrugations, I would really like to look at parabolic suspension. The only thing is parabolic suspension is pretty expensive. Now, apparently suspension has a lifespan of like 60 to 80,000 kilometers, and this is getting to the end of that period. So if it does come to the time where I need to upgrade this to something else, parabolics it will be, and that should make a big difference to ride quality. I found myself doing quite a lot of deep water crossings over the past few months, so I'd like to install a Diff Breather Kit. This will prevent water damage in the diffs and doesn't cost a lot, so it should be doable pretty soon. And then there's the camping setup, the canopy, the rooftop tent, and everything inside here. Now, if you've been following this channel, you'll know that this setup has served us extremely well over the last few years. It's very practical and easy to use. It's just worked, but I want to keep evolving. I want to keep learning new things, and I want to keep things interesting. So I do want to make some slight changes, especially to the way that I organize everything, and try to make my use of space a bit more efficient, and hopefully that turns out for the better. And if not, well, at least we learn something. I have a couple of options. Option one is to get rid of this canopy entirely and do a flatbed conversion. That would allow me to access things much easier from the side and to overhaul everything inside here to make things more accessible, and I think that would be quite exciting. Option two would be to get a canopy camper unit, which essentially has the rooftop tent and the canopy integrated so that the floor of the rooftop tent can lift up and create some space inside the canopy, essentially allowing you to huddle inside the canopy with maybe a gas heater unit or an air conditioning unit when the conditions are really bad, i.e. let's say Kgalagadi when it's 45 degrees or Lesotho when it's -10. And that will just allow us to get out in slightly more extreme conditions and not feel like we're dying. For me, the most fun part about doing a canopy camper build would be the interior and just the way that I would set up sort of like cupboard units on the inside and an aisle down the middle. It would allow Huxley to sleep in the center aisle at night, which would be great, and it would allow for different way of accessing the fridge. We'd remove the tailgate and have a door that opens sideways, which I think is better, so that'd be great. But there are a couple downsides. The first is that a Canopy camper unit is quite expensive. I've had fantastic support on this channel from Easy On, who've loaned us some stuff to try out on different trips, and we've really been enjoying this rooftop tent. And Easy On doesn't make a Canopy camper unit, so unfortunately if I did go that route, I wouldn't be able to use this tent. So that's one of the big negatives to the situation. And the companies that do make Canopy campers have made it very clear they don't want to support the channel, which means it would cost me a lot of money. So there's a lot of kind of points against doing things that way. But we'll think very carefully, maybe put comments down below of what you think would be a better route to go. I'm very curious to hear what you think. And then of course, there are all the little bits and bobs that make camping fun. The cooking equipment, coffee making gadgets, chairs and tables, storage solutions. I'm constantly trying new stuff, and I plan to use everything extensively so that I can give feedback to you guys on what's worth buying and what isn't. And with that, we're going to wrap up this video, and I'm going to attempt to enjoy the rest of my relaxing weekend out here in the drizzle. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys next time. Cheers.